Welcome to Corta Joe, where coffee, minimalism, brain damage, math, and comedy economics collide. 1 minute you're grinding beans for 13 seconds and feeling spiritually superior to a touchscreen espresso robot. The next minute you're hearing why cold plunges, kickboxing, and Austin comedy clubs all run on the exact same fuel, choosing pain before pain chooses you. The coffee take here is beautifully petty and honestly kind of convincing. Maybe the fancy machine with 17 parts and a future repair appointment is not winning. An AeroPress or an all-metal French press does the job, tastes great, and if you're weird about hot plastic touching your coffee, there it is, problem solved. And the ritual is tiny grind the beans, 13 seconds, add hot water, wait about a minute, plunge. That's not hardship, that's a pause long enough to remember, you're a person. It also gets at the bigger argument. Convenience has turned coffee into volume, while a stripped-down setup feels more like, actually making coffee. The definition of financial freedom here is refreshingly unglamorous. It's not yachts, it's ordering what you want at dinner without doing emergency arithmetic in your head. It's filling a grocery cart and not wondering whether the card is about to embarrass you in public. That's the shift from constant background panic to basic confidence. Then they get into whether struggle creates ambition, and this is where the romantic poverty stuff starts falling apart a little. Sure, hardship can build discipline and gratitude. It can also just make you scared, selfish, and obsessed with not falling backward again. And trust fund kids catching strays here feels partly earned. The point wasn't that every rich kid is doomed because they mention Eden Brolin as someone who actually worked regular jobs. It was more that comfort doesn't automatically hand you purpose. This was one of the sharpest ideas in the whole batch. Do difficult things on purpose, and ordinary problems shrink. After a brutal workout or a cold plunge, your inbox doesn't feel like a medieval siege. Your brain goes, yeah, this ain't shit compared to freezing on purpose. The key thing is they are not arguing for macho self-destruction. The beginner version is walking, bodyweight squats, 10 push-ups, then adding a little over time. That jelly roll example is wild because it's not about magic motivation, it's momentum. Going from struggling with stairs around 500 pounds to running 6 miles is accumulated reps, not one heroic Tuesday. Same with strength training. Treat strength like a skill. 5 clean reps, rest, repeat. Don't turn every set into a hostage situation with your spine. And writing workouts on a whiteboard is such a simple good trick. Vague intentions are liars. A box you can check off is much harder to argue with. Joe DeRosa talking about hard sparring is the kind of honesty you wish showed up earlier in more combat sports stories. He had the ringing in his head, saw other fighters get slower, saw personalities change after repeated knockouts, and did the bleak little spreadsheet in his mind. No real UFC-style financial future, probably still poor, definitely increasing odds of brain damage. Passion starts looking very expensive at that point. So he pivots to stand-up, which is a sentence that makes comedy sound safer than kickboxing, and somehow in this context it absolutely is. Comedy gets described as an individual sport that's secretly communal, and that's exactly right. You go up there alone, but the whole machine runs on other comics helping you tighten bits, remember tags, and survive bad nights. Austin comes off like the current sweet spot because young comics can still afford to exist there. That matters more than almost any cultural theory people invent. If rent isn't eating your organs, you can actually do sets. Multiple clubs, open mics, talent coordination, all of that adds up to reps, which is the real currency. Kill Tony sounds like a nightmare in the best way. You get roughly a minute, no time for posing, no committee meeting, just laughs or silence. And going from a tiny belly room show to 2 sold-out Madison Square Garden nights is the kind of growth that tells you this is not some cute side lane anymore. It's an economy. The Mothership story is great because the building already had a whole previous life. Movie theatre, punk venue, pool hall, nudie theatre, Alamo Draft House, now comedy club. That's not real estate, that's reincarnation. They kept that history alive too, with flyers and names like Stevie Ray Vaughan, Black Flag, Willie Nelson, Red Hot Chili Peppers. The room has ghosts, but like fun ghosts. And the design apparently came from a bunch of comics weighing in on the stage. Monitors, lights, timers, layout, which makes sense because performers actually know when a room feels dead. That ties into the bigger anti-corporate point. Public companies get trapped in quarterly growth brain, so everything turns into extraction, smaller products, cheaper ingredients, denied insurance claims, endless rent seeking on basic life stuff. Health insurance gets the harshest spotlight because it's the cruelest setup. People pay for protection, then find out the business incentive can be to deny the care they need. No wonder the anger is volcanic. The position here isn't abolish markets, it's maybe stop rewarding systems that become legal pickpocketing, while also not pretending giant bureaucracies can't become their own nightmare. The Mothership is the counterexample. Pay comics well, keep staff happy, build a great room, and if breaking even is the early goal, fine. Imagine a business optimizing for the thing it actually claims to care about. The entertainment industry section is basically a very blunt reminder that talent is not a self-driving car. Agents, gatekeepers, politics, the right relationships, awards campaigns, all the invisible machinery matters. Frank Stallone becomes the example for how much a career depends on the team moving you through the maze. That is why comedy, podcasting, YouTube, direct audience stuff feels so important here. If the audience can find you without studio permission, the whole power map changes. Then they veer into originality, and honestly, this part rules. The Matrix versus Neuromancer becomes a way to say that a lot of supposedly singular genius is really accumulated influence, shared myths, and parallel thinking. That's different from plagiarism, but the border gets messy fast. Harlan Ellison and Terminator is the perfect example of how ugly those fights can get. And yes, they give love to Tarantino and Robert Eggers for consistency, while asking the very rude but fair question of whether some creators burn through their strongest ideas in the first masterpiece. That's it for Cortado Joe. Go make a simple coffee, do 10 push-ups, and maybe avoid hobbies that charge your brain rent. This episode was generated by Podkey. Create your own at podkey.fm.